Hello! So, I've just come back from watching the new Point Break film. Now, straight away I'm going to say, if you've already seen the original Point Break, you're probably not going to think this one's as good. So if you've never seen the 1991 Point Break film with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, then you might enjoy this new remake because you're unaware of what's happening. However, if you have seen the original one, then this possibly isn't for you, to be honest. I found the film lacked any serious character development or anything. There was a lot of characters in the film that you don't really get to know properly, and it kind of ruins it. It features very heavily on Utah and Bodhi. Obviously they're the main characters from the original film, and they're the main characters in this film, but I felt the original film was able to keep them as main focal characters, but yet at the same time have other characters in the forefront as well, whereas this one, everyone else seemed to be in the background. They changed the whole ethos around the film compared to the original, whereas in the original they're trying to make money and get a kick out of doing it as well. You know, they're adrenaline junkies, but they're trying to make some money. Whereas in this one, everything they're doing is funded already, and they're trying to they see themselves as like modern day Robin Hoods. They steal from the rich, give to the poor, trying to put some balance back in the world, and they live into this unobtainable ideological way of living, which it kind of just, I don't know, I found it droned on a bit, to be honest. I'm not saying the film is bad, but I'm just saying, you know, after watching that, I think it actually ruins the original slightly by associating itself with it, using the same characters' names and similar plots, though that is also quite different as well. I think the film would be better if it wasn't called Point Break and it didn't have the same names as the original characters. So if they had just given it a different title, given the characters different names, and not tried to associate it with the original Point Break, then it probably would be okay as a standalone film. But because it's trying to be a remake of such a classic film, which has very little wrong with it at all, they've ruined it. So I found it quite hard for my attention to be fully engaged with the film the whole time. It has a lot of outside scenic shots, and look at these mountains, aren't they great, and look at this, listen to this music. I actually felt the music was unnecessary. It had I was very much aware of the musical score throughout the film, and I found it a little bit distracting from the main feature, you know, as we're looking at all these wonderful scenes of them doing this, that and the other, and so I felt the original Point Break was definitely a good paced action film, whereas the remake, it's too slow in places, it's very slow in places, so I was a little bit disappointed. There were a few good moments, not many. At the end of the film, as with the original, Utah catches up with Bodhi, big waves, he's going to go out surfing, but it felt like it was green screen to me. I mean, if they were actually on the sea when they filmed that, I'd be very surprised. It just didn't look like they were there. It felt artificial. It felt like they were in a studio with someone skirting with a hose pipe, and they just plastered the waves on in the background. I didn't find that scene convincing at all. It kind of ruined that whole scene, really. Whereas the original one, as you remember, they're standing on the beach, they're chatting, and then Bodhi paddles out to the sea, and that's believable, they're standing on the beach. Whereas in this remake, they're on a boat. It's not too much of a spoiler to say they're on a boat, but it's just, it didn't feel, that whole scene just to me looks as if it was filmed in a studio and they just put the waves on afterwards. It didn't look convincing. I mean, modern day computer graphics and green screen stuff is better than that. I wasn't convinced by that scene at all. And if someone actually corrects me and says, actually, they did actually generally film that on the boat in the sea, I won't believe you, to be honest. There are a few disappointing things with it. With the original one, of course, Johnny Utah, he is an experienced FBI officer, and then he goes into this group of people who like surfing, who are doing the criminal activities, and then at the end of the film he throws his badge away. And this remake, it's actually the other way around. He's actually a trainee FBI officer, and he's actually come out of the world of being an adrenaline junkie. So it's completely the other way around. They probably just thought, oh, let's make this really clever and do it the other way around, so that he's a new FBI agent. It was okay. I mean, I'm not saying that twisting it around was necessarily a bad thing. They obviously didn't want to do it exactly the same as the original one. But at the same time, I felt it lacked a certain thing, whereas in the original I felt like Johnny was missing something from his life, but he didn't know what he was missing. Where in the remake, you know, it's all very, you know, bomb, 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 bomb. You know, something, you know, bad thing happened, and then he joined the FBI, and now he's going to go back into that world, and nah, it just didn't work for me, to be honest. It didn't work for me at all. It's not that I'm, you know, hard to please. Some films I really like. But I have to be honest, if you want to watch Point Break, watch the 1991 version of Point Break. If you haven't seen that version, get it from somewhere. You know, download it, rent it, whatever. It should be easily accessible. Watch the original version, because the original version is good. It has a strong story, and their reasons for doing what they're doing, you know, make sense to them, whereas this one, it's all very wishy-washy, la-di-da, ooh, you know, it's if we can make a perfect world by blowing stuff up. It's like, what? Okay. I know, I felt the film didn't really know where it was going. Like, 1/3 of the way through, it felt like I was watching Fight Club. Not just because of the fact there is a scene where there is a fight, but all the way through Fight Club, you know, they're constantly saying, you know, try and achieve something against the, you know, the main way that the world is run. So, you know, try and do something. And I don't know, I felt like whoever remade this film, I can't even be bothered to actually look up who redid it, but I'm sure they probably were a fan of Fight Club when it came out. Well, I'm sorry I can't really give a more positive, upbeat view of it. I just say what I think, and I think that it was a mistake to remake it. I honestly, what they should have done, if they'd done it as a standalone film, it probably would have been okay. If they, as I said before, if they called it something different, didn't use the original characters' names, and didn't try and mimic some of the scenes, the classic scene where Utah, you know, is after Bodhi, he gets away, then he's shooting, he goes, ah, bang, 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 in the air. They put that bit in there, but I feel they've just stuck it in just for the sake of sticking it in, just to say, actually, this is a remake of the original, so we're going to stick this scene in, and no, I think they just did it for the sake of it. To be honest, I think Hot Fuzz, where they were doing a tribute to the original Point Break, I think that works better in that film than it did in this film. The original Point Break is the type of film that I could watch over and over again. I've seen it many, many times. It's still just as enjoyable to watch now as it was the first time I saw it. Whereas this remake, nah, you know, if it comes on TV one day in a few years' time and I can't be bothered to change channel because the remote's on the other side of the room, I might leave it on. or I might be persuaded to get up and grab the remote and watch something else. Right, I'm going to end there because there's not a lot more I can say about it, really. You might enjoy it. Everyone's tastes are different. I mean, I didn't think much of Spectre either, and that was a really high-grossing film, so somebody obviously liked it. So maybe this one will do well as well. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for watching. It would be brilliant if you subscribe, but obviously I can't make you, but I'd be very grateful if you do. And give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And I'll see you next time.